Economics is basically a religion. And the question is, which religion do you want to follow? Tax the rich or don't pay taxes? Put your money in an IRA or don't put any money in the stock market. So I own no stocks except the companies I took public. I'm a capitalist. I invest from this side and this side. These guys cannot go public. You know that, I know that. The companies are too small.
You said I doesn't stand for investment, it stands for insider. Can you talk about that term, insider, and how can people become insiders?
Well, there's many ways. The moment you go into, I love real estate because the moment you go into real estate, I'm using debt. And the moment I use debt, I pay no taxes. And all the other financial planners who advise these guys here, the 401k, RRSPs, superannuations, they tell you get out of debt. On this side here, I'm using debt. It's called OPM. And so the moment I go into real estate, I'm an insider. So I actually control it. I don't care if it's a little 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom house or whatever it is. I'm now in control of the deal. I'm the manager. But when you give your money to a mutual fund, then you're hiring a manager, and supposedly an ETF is automatically managed for you. But to do what this side does, I was about 18, I had to make up my mind, which one was I going to be? Then my education changed. It always changed. And so I do have a college degree. It's a Bachelor of Science in oil. And it made me a rich man. But you have to choose your degree. But what made me rich is I also have my rich dad's information is I invest in the oil well, not the oil stock. And I'll say it again, the Fed cannot print oil.
Right.
I like
Yeah. So you like things that can't be made up, which is oil,
Correct.
real estate, gold, silver, and sometimes some crypto like Bitcoin and Ethereum.
So I said the biggest stock market crash is still coming. And this was after the 2008 crash. And the reason I could predict that the 2008 crash was just a prelude for the bigger crash coming, which we are in today in 2022. I mean, even China's crashing today because they never fixed the problem. In fact, the whole problem is that the global economic system is rigged. It's called the central bank system. You know, the Bank of Japan, the Bank of England, Bank of Japan, and stuff like this. This whole system is rigged. So Fuller passed away in 1983. In 84, his book came out called The Grunch of Giants. And so he was already dead. And I'm reading Grunch of Giants. And Grunch of Giants stands for gross universal cash heist. It's how our wealth is stolen via our money. And that fit my whole internal belief system. You know, if you don't believe it, you think he's a whack job. But in 1984, I said, man, this guy is onto it. You know, Fuller is onto it. So I read Grunch of Giants, and that's how I can write books like Prophecy. And the way you know I'm not just blowing smoke today is go get the book. And so what happened, 2008 crash, and then what set up the biggest, as you know, because your experience on Wall Street, it set up the biggest bull market in history. But it was based upon fake money. They just kept printing more, using more debt. Because as you know, Brian, money is debt. If we don't borrow money, money doesn't exist. So money comes into existence because every time you use a credit card, take out a mortgage, buy a car, that's when money is created. And that goes back to 1913. Again, the Federal Reserve Bank was created, you know, central banks, which is Marxism. And then in 1913, in America, the Internal Revenue Service was created, the IRS, because money cannot exist without debt and taxes. So I'm sitting there going, holy moly. You know, so every time I talk to you, I get the chills because you are on the inside of it and I'm on the outside trying to figure it out. And what are these guys up to? And so that's why I wrote this book here. You can say, well, Kiyosaki is full of shit. You know, he's bullshitting. Read the fucking book. That's what I'm saying. You know, I mean, I practice what I preach and I do what I say I'm doing. So anyway, that's how I could write Prophecy. And as you know, in 2021, China collapsed. And that's why COVID appeared again. Notice that? So Evergrande, which is the biggest, I think it's bigger than Lehman Brothers crash. And Evergrande's going down. Now, when real estate goes down, it's a financial crash more than anything else. They have 90 million condos in China not occupied. So what that does is it's this big sucking sound, you know, like it's going down the toilet right now. When real estate goes down, it takes all the economies of the world with it. Like, you know, Australia, one of my favorite countries, ships a lot of supplies to China. And there, Australia was booming because China was booming with real estate. And so in 2021, when it collapsed, collapsed. That means Australia collapses more, but that's why I think Australia locked the country down also. Everybody's to stay indoors and all this. I personally think they're afraid of civil unrest. And so I think that's why COVID appeared, September 17, 2019, our repo market collapsed. And the repo market is the shadow banking system, as they call it. You don't see that market, but I'm watching the shadow banking system. And when the repo market collapsed in September 17, 2019, voila. A lot of the people giving financial advice, all they know is a bull market.
Yeah.
You see, they were born, just prior to 2008. They're now probably, let's say, 25 years old. They're financial planners, real estate brokers. And all they know is the S&P keeps going up. Don't fight the Fed. I mean, they're idiots. But unfortunately, without financial education in our schools, you can't blame them. But they don't know what a bear market looks like. And they don't know what inflation looks like, because inflation has made them rich. Because the Fed, what do they say? 40% of all money was printed in the last 2 years or something, some stuff like that. I don't know if it's true or not. But the M2, the money supply, is so huge today because they're trying to prevent the balloon from collapsing. They're desperate. Why is there inflation? Is they're trying to prevent the collapse. And Jim Rickards, he's one of the smartest guys I know. He says, prepare, we're going to collapse. And people don't understand, most 98% don't understand this. The dollar is a reserve currency of the world, which came about in 1944 with the Bretton Woods Agreement. We can just keep printing money, but the rest of the world's collapsing right now. And everybody depends upon the US printing. But that's why I watch China. And when Evergrande came down in 2021, the biggest real estate collapse in history, bigger than 2008. And all of a sudden, they locked people down with COVID. I've seen this story before because it happened in 2019. They're desperate, Brian. They're desperate. They're looking for anything that can stop this thing. But, every time they said to me, don't fight the Fed, I'm saying, don't trust the Fed was my stay. Why would I trust those SOBs? They're a central bank system. The Rothschilds and all those guys controlled them. The richest families in the world control the central banks. And you said you pulled the curtain aside. It's like the story of the Wizard of Oz. You pull the curtain aside. There's a little guy back there called the Fed chairman trying to keep the economy from collapsing on. But they're going to keep printing and printing and printing until the thing is destroyed. Why don't we teach money at school? It's not a mistake, Brian. It's not a mistake, because what Marx predicted has come true. 1848. He said communism would take over America specifically, or the capitalist world, in 2 stages. So stage 1 happened in 1930. In 1930, the Frankfurt School out of Berlin sent teachers to Columbia University Teachers College. That was in 1930. So communism invaded America through our teacher system. And that's why most teachers are Marxists, like my poor dad. Not bad people.
Right.
They think they're doing the right thing, but they don't know how to make money. They want a pension, they want all the benefits and all that other stuff. They belong to labor unions. And what Marx says was, workers of the world unite, join a labor union. When Biden took the Keystone Pipeline XL, whatever it is, off the list, oil went from $30 a barrel to $130 a barrel in a few days. So in other words, inflation went through the roof. It wiped out the middle class and the poor. But a guy like me who invests in oil wells, not oil stocks, I made so much money because when the price of oil went up to 130, today I think it's 105. I'm creaming it right now. Unfortunately, it's killing the poor and middle class because they can't put gas in the car, can't buy groceries, and then they can't afford to shop. So I see all the clothes on sale everywhere and all this. And that's what's predicted in here. That's how I see the world from very economic point of view, but real economics.